Today we will be talking about the wetlands of Alaska, their importance, significance, and potential that they bring to the state of Alaska. 43% of Alaska is considered a wetland, and 61.3% is federal land. Our issue is that this land is rich in natural capital, and is sought by the oil industry, which employs 33% of Alaska. But current regulations prevent this because of cultural reasons. Our issue analyzes how integral wetlands are to the environment and the benefits and handicaps it places on the people and the development/economic growth of Alaska. It's important to find growth in a solution that benefits the environment, economy, and the culture.
So solution number one to this problem is to impose limits on oil drilling, such as noise limits and immediate spill cleanups. Some pros of this plan is it will curb some of the harmful effects of oil drilling, and it might benefit all sides as they debate and negotiate on what limits should be imposed. Some cons are the environment may be affected negatively. One side may be left out of negotiations, and it might hurt the economy because 1/3 of Alaska is employed by it, and 90% of state revenue is created by the Alaskan oil industry. In support of this claim, the Anchorage Daily News said in an article, "Done right, exploration and development will harm neither the caribou nor the ways the people who depend on them." So some limitations of this plan is the time that it will take to actually get something like this passed. Oil companies have large resources and a lot of money to debate and stop and delay something like this from happening. And oil companies might just look elsewhere. If it becomes unprofitable or if something else becomes more profitable than Alaska, they'll just go to that area, a different state or a different country. Some implications are argumentation, debate, and negotiations between sides. Environmental damage, as this will curb some environmental damage of oil drilling in Alaska, but it won't completely stop it. And economic damage. If oil companies go out of business or they look elsewhere, Alaska's economy will be affected.
For solution 2, I would like to start with a quote to introduce our evidence. The Federal Subsistence Management Program fails to incorporate Alaska Native traditional practices, knowledge, and cultural use of the land into the implementation and regulation of the subsistence hunting programs. From John Starkler, 2016. This sets us up for our solution 2, which is all about reforming the 2 pieces of legislation that set the indigenous subsistence rights and the culturally protected land that Alaska has. The reform would include economic reform, and it would encompass not only the subsistence uses of Alaska and their natives, but it would also encompass the traditional uses of what Alaskans and the indigenous use the land for. This would really help us to allow for less traditionally used land to be more usable by industries such as the oil industry, but it would also better protect the land that is used by the indigenous. Now, the pros of this would be that it allows for development of places that are less culturally important, and it would keep the important land that is culturally important to the indigenous and the aboriginals. But it would protect it even better because it's recognized as traditionally important land. Done by law, this will make it'll make the reform more enforceable by police and anybody who's running the federal land, such as rangers. And the cons to this would be that it would rid protection over the lands that are already protected, that are not as used by the culture of the indigenous, but are just protected. A limitation to this would be that it takes a lot of time for law to go into place and to be reformed. And in doing so, it takes a lot of argumentation between the public and politicians. The other problem is finding out who define what makes the land more traditionally important than other land. And that could be defined by tribal leaders or just leaders in the federal programs that are run by the tribes and aboriginals. Implications to this would be that it would have a negative impact to places that aren't protected anymore, but it would highly benefit places that are protected.
So ultimately, we viewed many possible solutions for our decision. And we presented the two best solutions that were backed by people educated in the field and associated with the field, and chose solution number 2. The indigenous people of Alaska want protections around their tradition rather than subsistence, which means protecting the land. Although the current law is vice versa, which doesn't help any side in this case. What makes solution 2 so strong is how environmentally and economically and culturally sound it is. Petroleum has a chance to grow. Natives would be happy that their traditions are being protected, and wildlife and wetlands would be conserved and at a greater level. Ultimately, at the current state of these wetlands, because of cultural reasons, the environment would only be protected twofold.